All right. Hello and welcome to this quick little breakdown where we are going to, go through this crazy day where we did 107 creatives for one client in one day. And I'm very, very happy to introduce Alan to you and very happy that you're here. Who was the initiator of this crazy idea? So very cool to have you here. And in this video, we're going to have like a quick breakdown. What did we do? Then also like what was the exact process that we've used? And this is very important without shooting any additional content, right? So
Yeah.
I think we shot like one or two shots just for one specific concept, but other than that, this is something that you can do when you have content already. And it's a modular system that you can use to blast out, a lot of creatives.
Also
Yeah.
lasted us around 2 months, right? So we didn't have to
Yeah,
create a thing for the client.
absolutely. True. Absolutely. So this is something, this is a way where you can batch the creative process, or if you just have like high, creative demand, you need a lot of creatives quickly, and you need to test a lot of creatives. This is how you can ramp up the quantity. All right, let's go through it. Alan, how did this whole thing start actually?
Yeah, we were eating steaks at a very nice restaurant Marcus suggested. And I think you talked about how we could maybe batch a little bit here and there in order to focus on single days. Um, and then we came up with insane idea of like, let's take it to an extreme, rank it down, 10x it. Why don't we do 100 creators one day? Why not make it possible? And then everybody said, yeah, we should do that. But I know people and I know that people won't do it, although they agree to it. I have around 100 agreements with friends to hang out again. Never saw any of them again. So I said, okay, if you're that into it, let's do it tomorrow. How about that?
Mhm.
Let's make it tangible. And you were a fan of it, so we
I
just
was a
next day.
Yeah, I was a big fan of it, but I looked into like each face in this moment when you said, "Okay, why not do it tomorrow?" I was like, "Okay, but
Yeah,
this is
Robert
yeah."
wasn't a
Robert
believer.
wasn't really believing, but this was exactly the right thing, and I loved it. And yeah, and this is where we said, "Okay, let's do it. Let's just do it." And then we were like directly switching into, okay, how can we actually make this work? And I want to dive a little bit into this process then, because like maybe you can elaborate what was the setting, like what was kind of like the stuff that we had from the client, what was the situation before?
Yeah, I think so. We usually go about creating creatives with okay, we receive UGC content from a creator, we cut it up, we find the exact moment where it's important, put it into the timeline, maybe let someone speak a script, and then fill in a few B-roll shots from other creators that have done well, as a pattern shot, for example. And when we sat down together in Barcelona, I think it was the Saturday before that. I think even the day before, the day before, we sat together and watched over the account
Hmm.
we did this in, and I came up with the idea. Okay, if we wanted to accelerate our process, and Marcus always says, "What can we do with the footage we already got?"
Hmm.
I think the optimal setting for us would just be to have the shots we always seek in every single creative. We always go into a creative and like use the same shots, but we search them every time, which doesn't make sense if you think about it, but you never stop in your day-to-day to actually make those conclusions. We said, okay, we would need these to be collected inside of a folder, and also not a single one, but maybe even categorized in single containers, so we know exactly what to expect from clicking on each one of them. Yeah, and then we collected the content and put them into, I think, B-roll, pattern interrupts, application footage, product shots, and social proof, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, result, like people being happy about the product, having soft skin, that kind of thing. And that was basically the setup going into the day. Us being like, okay, that's 200 creators without ordering UGC content, without having to wait for people in order to make it happen.
Yeah, this is a very crucial point that you're talking about right now. It's very interesting because this is something that, like, we as a service provider, we have this a lot, right? Where we have to wait for content for weeks, sometimes months. Even though the briefs are being sent out on time and everything, but then it just takes the creators, a lot of time to do the content actually. And of course, there's ways to speed this up, and some plans are like way faster than others. But still, even when you're an e-commerce owner, you know it by yourself. Sometimes it just takes a lot of time. So what we want to establish is to have a system to make the most out of the content that we have, and also order content very specifically. And you came up with this idea of organizing the content into subfolders, basically, of shots that you always need in any kind of creative, right? So it's literally like going through the whole library and cutting out like single seconds of creatives. Let's say, for example, a pattern interrupt, or like where someone is agitating the problem and showing the problem, cutting those seconds out and putting them into a folder. Because this way, then we can modularly just pull together those shots whenever we need them. And this was I think this was really the game changer idea here on how to approach assembling creatives. And now when we like go deeper, a step deeper. So this was basically the first thing that we did, right? Like, you went through the whole content, then categorized the content. And then the question was, okay, what kind of creatives do we do? So this is kind of like the research part. And maybe from your perspective, like, what do you remember from there? Like, how do we go about finding creative types at the end?
Yeah, so we sat down, okay, what kind of credits are we doing? What is the basis on that? Yeah, we basically used the manpower we have. We were 4 people, and said, okay, we have 20 minutes. Everybody just look at the usual sources of inspiration, that being TikTok Ads Library, Creative Milkshake, the folder we have of 1,000 creatives, or Eagle Library, and basically look for things that are manageable to do, the content we have, but are also like pretty and could work well for this account. And we all looked in the same places, but came up with different stuff and collected them within a folder. So yeah, we had 20 minutes of searching, and then I think 15 minutes for everybody to present their ideas. And we put them into the Notion doc and categorized them by easiness to do. And then, yeah, I think also the angle.
Yeah.
What was the amount?
Yeah, true. Actually, I think here we had around, what was it, like 1, 2, 9, 10, 11, 12, maybe 13 different stories. We call them stories. So it's basically concepts. And here you can see that I think this is actually already filtered. We had more, but we were looking for stories that were easy to do. Like this is basically saying easiness of doing it. Like, how easy is it to actually do the script? Do we need like specific content for this script? Then we would say, okay, this is maybe not for now, but for the future. And here we said, okay, how many single creatives can we do out of it? And we'll also get into this, because I think this is something that is pretty natural for us, but for a lot of people is not. like how to make from one concept basically 9 up to 16 different variations. And then we also said, okay, for what kind of angle can we use this concept? Going back a little bit to what you said about like the creative research, just to give an idea of how this looked like. For example, here we basically did research, and in those 20 minutes just collected from different sources creative concepts, where we said, okay, those are creative concepts that we can do that are mostly voiceover creatives, where we can generate the voice, like with AI voice generators like Murph AI, for example. We don't need to shoot any additional content, but it's just about how the content is presented. So just to give an idea of how this looked, then we brought them together, categorized them, and prioritized them. Now let's go into how to make, like, how do we make 16 creatives out of one concept? Like, how do you go about this?
Yeah, I think it's day-to-day for us, but kind of an easy conclusion to come to, as I said, like things you not really think about in day-to-day, but make sense once you get the click in your mind. And this is basically just having that one storyline. For example, the review after 2 weeks that ended up making us 16 different creatives. It's basically, the concept behind it is, I tried this product for 2 weeks and got these results. But then, of course, you can frame it in different ways. You can create different voiceovers, especially if you don't need to order things. You can say, okay, how would that story look for the time angle? I tried this product for 2 weeks and ended up saving 2 hours because of it. That would approach a totally different audience of people than if you would say, okay, I tried this product and in only 2 weeks my skin looks like something a baby would have. Mm-hmm. And then like go about the different angles, and then you have already 4 different storylines to portray, with also different footage that you need to insert. Mm-hmm. And then when you have those 4, now it gets really interesting. You can say, okay, how can we make 4 out of each of those? And then you can start thinking into pattern interrupts. I think it's lesson 4. So I think you covered that way before that. Before this module.
Yes. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, but we took these 4 different spins on the story, and made 4 pattern interrupts for each, and this how it multiplied to 16 different creators for that concept alone.
So yeah, so this is just absolute gold nuggets, because I see this, like, every time I see it, when like in accounts where people just have like one ad running, they are missing out on so much. Because as you say, like, first of all, it's the angles, and here, for example, we have those 4 different angles which talk to 4 different target audiences. As you said, like, this is very, very crucial to understand. Like, we are communicating to different people. And actually, like, when you look at the whole target audience or potential target audience, you just extend your reach, and you're able to access more audience pockets, so to say, and just have like acquire way more customers that way. And the other thing is pattern interrupts, which is something that, like, we see it with every test that we run, where we have multiple pattern interrupts. There's one variation, for whatever reason, that is outperforming the other ones, at least one. And this is something, like, it's just like, we can guess and prepare and research and do whatever we can do, but at the end of the day, the algorithm picks one variant, maybe 2, for whatever reason, but we need to give it like a couple of variations to choose from, just to increase the likelihood, so that we of finding a winning ad. So like two very, very important concepts here. Like one is angle, and one is like on the creative level, really like giving multiple options to the algorithm. Really, really cool. So yeah, so then we basically had all of those ideas. We had them how do you say, like basically prioritized, right? Here you see the priority, with which one do we start, then what's the next, and stuff like that. So content we organized already. Now, what was the rest of the process? Like, how did it look like?
Yeah, the rest of the process was honestly very chaotic. It's basically me and Robert being the executors, or like think of us as the trains, just going full speed,
Full speed, yeah.
rolling around, just sitting at our MacBooks and splitting the concepts between each other to just execute on them. Okay, how do we do this concept? And drag and drop two clips we already organized. And you two, Marcus and Paul, just being the engine, or like the fuel, shoveling the coal into the train ovens. And this way, like, they wrote the copy and scripts for the next concept while we were executing the last one. So we used every single brain cell we had in this room, in this kitchen we sat in. And yeah, I think we were nearly done in the morning. But how the process looked like when executing was, yeah, basically like that. We claimed the concept we wanted to make next. So we had the Notion document, and we would pick them. Okay, I'm doing this one next. So Robert knew, okay, this one is covered. I am gonna choose that one, and just went down the list until creatives were ready. So we rented out the first concept, and these were 8 different creatives. And then everybody celebrated, and we went into the living room and made 8 push-ups each.
True. True. That was, yeah, that true. I remember that was crazy. So at the end of the day, everyone did 107 push-ups, but it was not like 10 push-ups, 10 push-ups, 10 no, I think we had one time we had like 45 push-ups. Like,
yeah. Because Robert and I were finished with a concept each.
Yeah.
Batch them.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it was a really, really fun exercise also as a team, just to go through it together. And as you said, like we finished at 4 a.m., super like completely tired. I remember Robert was like sleeping in his seat basically. But we made it. We made it. It was a very, very good feeling to having accomplished this. And here, just to show, like, for example, here we did like basically I put the headlines and text overlays into the specific concept basically, so that then Alan and Robert would go ahead and just take this out of the cards. In this case, it doesn't matter what kind of product, how to say, like solution you use there when you use Notion. But to have this kind of process that one is focusing on the scripts, on the messages, the headlines, then also the copies for each of those scripts, and the other ones are basically just cutting the videos. And as you said, like then you were cutting, we were doing a lot of push-ups, and at the end, what's also important then is to group those videos into angle folders, right? So Paul did this. He then went ahead and said, okay, we have the angle, what was it, for example, soft skin. So he collected all of the different creative types and concepts for soft skin and put them into the same folder. And then he grouped them by batches, right? So that he said, okay, because in this case, you end up with maybe 25 creatives, and you cannot just put them in one ad set. But then he said, okay, let's split this out in 3 batches, for example, and test them in ad sets. But yeah, that's just then a more technical thing. But all in all, I would say also at the end, we actually were joking around. I remember the day after, like, okay, we could have done more,
Yeah,
right?
things seem way more logical the day you wake up after a session like that.
Yeah,
I think you comprehend a lot of things in your dreams and you wake up and think, okay, that barrier is um, ripped down.
yeah,
Is what's possible as well? Like,
yeah.
where do we go next?
What's next? Correct. And I mean, if you make this exercise, like the organizing content, I have it in the modules also. This is like a crucial exercise. And once you've done this, because this also took some time, and you have some creative concepts ready, you're pretty much ready to go. And even if it's 20 creatives for you, or it's 40 creatives, it doesn't have to be 100. But this just enables you to basically crush your competition with a lot of different ads and increase the likelihood of finding a winner. Cool. Amazing. Thank you very much, Alan, for
Yeah.
hopping in and giving us some insights and behind the curtains. And I think this was a very valuable session. Be sure to implement this stuff and and really take your creative game to the next level. All right. So thanks a lot.
Pleasure. Bye bye.